Welcome to That's So Intimate,
a podcast where we explore living well through deep, curious conversations.
I'm Sarah, guide at Rad Intimacy, inviting you to remember your sacred self.
I'm Bryan, a guide at Sadhana Yoga School, where we share wisdom for life.
Let's get intimate.
We're on video.
Woohoo! It's a first.
Yeah.
I am so excited that we are revealing our big project we've been working on lately to our listeners and announce it, talk about it, dig into the details.
Yeah.
So our project is called YES. It stands for Yoga, Earth, and Soul. And I would describe it as a community for the seekers, in particular ones seeking harmony with the natural world, the concept of spirituality, and relationship with each other. So primarily those three pillars are going to be a big part of what Yes is when we have offerings to share. Let's talk about the origin story a little bit, how we got to working together, or what in our lives prompted interest in offering Yes Now. Might be interesting.
Yeah. Did you want to start, or did you want me to start? You were just talking about your origin story. Maybe you want to share that?
My origin story. Yeah. So it just made me think when you said it that way, that it would be like how I got here as a human on this earth.
It is, right?
Well, the birds and the bees. No, just kidding. Yeah, I think I'll just say from a personal perspective, it was living for probably about the first 3 decades of my life a little bit in service of others and what I thought I should be doing. It took a while to discover my own intuition and my own voice, and still learning to befriend my inner critic and, that whole journey of loving yourself. But through that, I came to discover the tools that worked the best for me, the things that really filled up my soul and drew me in closer relationship with the things that mattered to me. So I began with yoga, actually, and intuition, and the ability to be able to listen to that through the practices of asana and meditation and some self-inquiry and things like that. And I've always loved nature. I guess I just have reverence for it now as an adult in a different way than I used to as a kid. And it felt important to bring together the resources of the sort of personal quest, the getting in touch with your own soul, and how that can help you get in deeper relationship with each other. Like, everybody's got their own soul, and how do you connect them together to find meaningful relationships? And then like the soul of the earth, and like the whole thing is an ecosystem. And so it's like putting all these wisdoms together and something that people can find usefulness in, right?
Can you back up a little bit and share? Because you kind of brushed over like you lived the first 30 years of your life for other people. What did that look like, or what was your life like?
I would say I lived from my mind. I was an athlete. In fact, I was a college level athlete, but it was as if my mind had dominion over my body, and it was only in service of certain aims to look good from the outside, for me to kind of like beat it up in practice and for it to perform in a certain way. It wasn't this like loving reciprocal relationship of mind, body, and soul. I just didn't know that. I, as a child, was discouraged from feeling my feelings, and there just wasn't a depth of presence. It was like about living in the busy mind and in the consumeristic culture and being in service of that rather than something deeper. And so I guess I'm thinking we're offering the other way. So it's like I know very well what it feels like to live detached from your soul or a greater meaning.
Hmm.
And then so I can completely relate and know some of the pain points. I'm sure others have different stories, but it's so much richer and more peaceful and more the word that keeps bubbling up for me is just more in harmony with everything that feels true and important and worthwhile. And yes, we need to eat. Yes, we need shelter. Yes, we need basic things. I'm not saying go be a monk on a hill and renounce everything that this society has built, but like there needs to be harmony with that too. Like, how do we have harmony with capitalism or the consumerist kind of culture, right? So it's almost like a lifestyle in a way, I would say. It's like a way to approach life with more intention and depth. That's how I see it. So for me, this project feels like my life's work is like the culmination of all these beautiful things that I'm hoping we can mash together in a way that people find a lot of value in. And then they find each other. And it's like this like minded community where they maybe finally feel true belonging, which, I'm sure people have friends, but it's like, are they really in the Celtic world, they call them anamkaras, which is like, it's your soul friend. It's someone who's like really hearing you on your hard days, really lifting you up, really asking you to be the best version of yourself. And yeah, that's a beautiful thing, right? If we can create a community of anamkaras, we're winning at life.
Yeah.
But how about you? Like, I've been talking too much. What I feel like I, in some ways, brought some of this to you, knowing that you already knew yoga way more in depth than I did. And you already knew the natural world and loved nature so much. And you naturally have a depth to your soul that you've shared with people in your yoga teacher trainings for so long. So I kind of brought some of this idea to you, but like, when did it like click? And when were you like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense that like this aligns for me now? Or,
Well, I would say my origin story is different than a lot of people. I don't think I got caught up in I don't know, the rat race of the world. Like I never had a real job. I mean, I did go to school and I went to college and I got a master's degree and I did that, but I didn't then go out and get a big job. So I don't know what it's like. I don't know. I just didn't value that. I valued my own independence and like free time. And I guess maybe that, like maybe I didn't have the temperament to be in like a box and
mhm,
work a certain job and be there at a certain time and do certain things. So, I mean, maybe because I couldn't do that, I didn't. So that might have been a blessing for me. And yeah, I grew up, I was always outside, like way more than anyone I've ever met. Um,
you just were made of dirt and moss and
yeah, like, I mean, there's probably people that have been outside more than me growing up, but like, I'm in the top, whatever percent, like
yeah,
I know nature very well. And then I also know yoga very well. My mother was a yoga teacher, so I was around it. Not that I like did it every day or something as a kid, but it was around. So I feel like that aspect was just like my life. I always knew it.
yeah,
But the challenge I had, so I would say I was connected with myself, I was connected with nature, but my challenge has been, and the biggest growth I feel over the last couple of decades, especially the last decade, has been connection with other people.
yeah,
So I had always found that through creating community. like being the leader of the community. So
Mm.
teaching a yoga class is a community. So like I had a role and I would create that community and be a part of it that way. I had a retreat center in Guatemala, so I created that community and had a role in that community. A yoga studio, I had a role in that community. In the yoga trainings, we'd have a group of, 20 or 30 people, amazing community for a month, and I had the role of being the teacher. So I created community in that way, but I never felt like I was, like, just a part of it. Like,
Mm.
I would I would feel very uncomfortable just, like, being a part of somebody else's community because I didn't know the role. So, like, for me, it's been knowing how to make friends, how to be a part of other communities. That's been my biggest growth point. So I see that as being, yeah, like what has helped to me in my life in terms of growth points. So I'm really interested in that. In terms of origin of thinking about thinking about creating this kind of new way of being or living or connecting with others, with nature, with spirit, with self is like I've loved teaching yoga both in classes, but mostly in the teacher training. It's a great package to bring people together, but I see it as limiting in multiple ways. One is that it's not an ongoing thing, so people come either for a month or, we have this, 9-month training, so it's kinda like even if it's 9 months, it's a long time, has a huge impact, but it's not long lasting for people
Mhm.
in terms of the community aspect, in terms of the kinda, like, support and ongoing learning. So I see yes as being having one of that solution for that. It's like an ongoing thing. It's sustainable for a long period of time. It's like, smaller chunks that you can do over a long period of time. And I see that's going to support people in a great way. I think it's limiting in terms of who can attend a yoga training because
Mm.
it does cost a significant amount. And perhaps more importantly, it takes a lot of time. So not everyone has that access. So it's a way to provide access to more people. So those 2 things, I'm really loving this package of kind of a simple way of, how do we let's get some tools to connect with ourselves deeper. Let's get some tools to connect with other people deeper. Let's actually gather, right, in community.
Mhm.
Let's go out in nature and get some tools and community to do that. And then let's have deep conversations about what's the meaning of life in a format that is really enjoyable, sustainable, also affordable, both in terms of time and money for people. So I see it as a great kind of new way, kind of a new offering
Yeah.
in terms of that.
I love that you're calling out the difference between the finite period of time that you do the teacher training in and how valuable that is to people. In fact, some of the origin story of Yes is based on a dinner I had with a friend who just happened to have gone through your yoga teacher training. And she was really missing those deep soul connection type conversations about yogic philosophy and the 8 limbs and, the community talking through all these concepts together. That mimicking nature and making it a sustainable, evergreen ecosystem that works in harmony makes so much sense, right? It's not just this period of time that we're together. The goal is to create something long lasting that continues to feed people. Because the truth is, people often take the yoga teacher trainings at some sort of pivotal time in their life, and it's super valuable then. But, like, how do you trickle in
Mhm.
a lot of these concepts and the feeling of belonging within a community of like-minded people for other parts of your life, right? Because maybe you needed it when you got the training then, But the craving for this woman I was meeting with was like, I wish it continued. I wish I had a place to go on like a regular basis. And she used the phrase, and it kind of stuck in my head. I wish there was a yoga church, which, for many reasons, I don't love the word church as it relates to some more dogmatic or harmful history that our religion has gone through. Dominion over others and war and all kinds of awful things. But that aside for a moment, the concept of being able to gather regularly over a longer period of time for whenever you need it is a really important thing to say that I just wanted to drive home. You said it, but I'm saying it sort of
Mhm.
again, and that it's a place to slow down. I think, when we were talking about my first 3 decades of this sort of rat race busyness of life, that hustle culture thing, I see this as almost an antithesis to that, because what happens in our capitalistic society, I feel, is that you stay busy striving for more. And often the more is like materialistic more. And so we often don't slow down the pace or pause or sit in reflective silence long enough to go, I'm actually really unhappy with this rat race, this perpetual need to be buying new, fancier things and getting higher paying jobs. And that's just not it for me. It's not satisfying. So I see our regular gatherings, we haven't actually talked about like what is involved in yes, but we plan to gather weekly as this like soft place to land, right? We're welcoming you in. There will be just, I'm hoping like this peaceful space that we create that allow people to just like just have like a deep sigh and go, how am I doing really? And if I connect with each other, if I connect with these other people and I connect with nature and I move my body, then maybe it will all feel a little bit better. And
Mhm.
I'll get just a little bit closer to like harmony, to joy, to my purpose here, maybe even. So, yeah, that's how I see it. Would you be in agreement with that? And what else do you see for it?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the rat race or the striving, and the way I conceptualize that is I think about 4 quadrants of our life. Like, we have our self, our identity with self, we have our relationship with other people, so maybe it's a partner, maybe it's your family, community, like, that is critical, like, we need that, and then relationship with nature, I just find nature, we are nature, so if we are so disconnected with nature, we're disconnected from a part of ourselves, right? So reconnecting with nature has a huge benefit. And then obviously, if we know what the meaning of life is and explore that, we're
Mhm.
gonna find more meaning. So, but thinking about the relationship with self, so knowing like myself, I think about like I've been trying to think about the right metaphor, but like we are multidimensional beings, right? Like I'm a father, I'm a partner, I I do have a career, I have hobbies, we have lots of aspects of ourselves. And if we only view ourselves with tunnel vision and think, I am just my career, right? So, or maybe a better example is, I am just how I look, right?
Yeah.
So I have to, so if my perception of myself, of self, is that I am how I look. So then the time when I'm going to the gym and eating well and I look good, right?
Mhm.
Then I feel good. Then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I have worth because I look really good."
But it's tied to that
Right?
outcome, right?
It's only tied to that outcome,
Yeah.
and it takes a lot of effort, right? And it's not really sustainable, and
And then
certainly
what happens if this
yeah,
happens? I have a boot on, right? Because I fractured my foot. And then
a
it's
random
harder
accident.
to maintain that
Yeah.
look, and
Yeah.
then does your whole world fall
Yeah,
apart,
so then your whole world does fall apart because that was
right?
your identity.
Yeah.
I'm this beautiful person,
Okay, yeah.
and that identity is gone. So my idea is to expand our identity to see and value all the parts of yourself, right? So
Yeah.
yes, you are a beautiful being, right? In your own way, but that's not all who you are. You also have hopes and dreams, and you also have family and friends and things that you love and things you want to do. Like you have other things going on in your life. So then if you don't have time to go or eat how you've been eating, so you start to look different, it's not a tragedy. It's not the end of the world. It's just like life, right? So because you're connected in more ways than just one. Same thing with your job, right? If you like I guess I experience this quite a bit because I've always owned my own business. So when business is doing well, I feel good. When business is not doing well, I don't feel as good because
Mm,
so much of my identity is tied to the business. So that's not a healthy way to live, right? The healthy way to live is to recognize that's part of me, and there's going to be ups and downs, and there's other parts of me, and those are going to have ups and downs. So when business is not doing well, if I'm connected with the other parts of myself, it's not as dramatic, right? So we can
mhm,
kind of live a more equanimous life, recognizing the natural ups and downs. So that's what I think about in terms of kind of I'm seeing as the secret sauce of yes is expanding people's identity and then thinking about with others or community, like if we're not in relationship with other people, something's missing in us, right? I know, like, my story is for in terms of this, multiple fronts, right? Like, I was estranged from my parents for a while, and, I did all the things to be okay with that, and I was okay with it and had a great life, but then there was still something, like, I don't know, missing. It's like yeah, you were talked about having an itch, like, there's some itch, like, there's more, like, it could be better. There's
mhm,
more. Like this is not in harmony. So I figured it out, and it was probably 6 months repairing that relationship, and then now it's part of my life. So I have I have that relationship with my parents, and it filled out the other greatly. And then also like in terms of thinking about other having close friends, been working on doing that and just community in general, and it adds so much to life, right? I think we're so much of an independent culture in the US. It's probably we value independence more than any other country, I think.
mm,
And it's great in a lot of ways because we really value the individual and allow our hopes and dreams to come. But if we forget about the other, we are losing the depth of life and the depth of experience because when we are I believe that we are social beings. We evolved, like our systems are wired to feel better, to do better. Like they say, yeah, you live longer when you're in partnership, right?
mhm.
When you're in community and when you have people that you care about and they care about you, we actually our bodies actually live longer, right? So like we're wired this way to connect with others. So if we ignore that and just focus on the individual, we're not going to be as full of a being as we can. So yeah, building skills, joining community, it just adds so much to life. I see that in terms of the yoga teacher training program. Like the yoga training helped people to connect deeper with other parts of themselves and know what they want, right? Yeah, you talked about like you kind of like living for other people. Like a lot of us do that. We live for other people and then we get to a point where like this life is not the one I would have created.
Right.
I was getting this job because my parents said that I needed something that was stable. It's such a common story. And then, so there's like this transition from living for what we think other people want to living what we want. So that is so important, but we don't want to ignore the other people. We still want to stay in relationship with them. So then that's the challenge. Like, how do I be my own individual self and be in relationship with others, right? That skill, I don't think many of us are that great at that.
What's interesting though is you can't really have one without the other. I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize when you're brought up in a society that puts on a pedestal the hero's journey, that individualistic, I can power through and overcome and succeed in life, as if the story is only about one person. It never is. You cannot do life without other people. And I'll expand that to say you cannot do life without being in relationship with or finding your place in the the universe, the natural world. Like, you are nature, earth, the cosmos, and it is you. Just as you have a soul, so do other humans have a soul. So, like, you think you're living your own life, and you are to an extent, but the truth is, we're all interconnected. And what
Mhm.
you do and say impacts other people. And I think the juiciness and the through thread for all of this is harmony.
Mhm.
Is how do you, that living for other people and then realizing you don't like it and coming into relationship with yourself and your own path is a remembering. It's a remembering of your own soul. And at some point, many people, not everyone, but many people will wake up to that at various points in their life and go, oh, yeah, wait, here I am. I feel a bit lost, right? How did I get here? And then they remember to go inward or remember to consult their own soul. But then also what happens then is, if you remember that connection, and I keep saying remembering because I think that's what it's all about. I think we're born into this world knowing about our souls and that depth, and we get sort of educated out of it. And so it's a remembering, but in that remembering your own soul, you remember the souls of others and the souls of the universe. And it's all connected, I think, in this web. Another thing you said earlier, too, was being attached to outcomes of things. Like, if you're an entrepreneur, you're attached to the outcomes of your business. Another thing we talked about on this podcast a few episodes ago was joy, and that, like, wellspring that you can have of joy when maybe you aren't as attached to the outcomes, or you do have belonging in a like-minded community, or you do have a deeper relationship with yourself, nature, spirit, and others. Like, then there is no need to attach to what our society deems as success, or need to attach to things looking a certain ideal way or not, that we can still find the joy and the harmony regardless of all of that.
Yeah, I find that the kind of the more we know what we really value and want in our life, the less the little things matter, right?
Mhm.
So even just having friends over for dinner, if we value having the table set perfectly and having the meal done on time and having the perfect dessert paired with the food and whatever, that's kind of like shallow in a way, right? It's like it's just like it's inconsequential if what you're really wanting is to connect with your friends, right?
Mhm.
So if you really value, I just want to have a evening connecting with my friends, and that's the most important thing, then the details don't matter as much, right? So it's like same thing in our life, right? If we really value the things, if we recognize what our values really are, then the values that may been assumed from others, like looking nice or having the perfect dinner or something, being perceived in a certain way,
Mm.
those are going to be we're going to pay less attention to those.
Yeah.
It's not even going to matter.
I almost think that's a symptom. And so just having awareness or curiosity, like, why am I being so perfectionistic about this aspect of my life
Mhm,
or in general? Or why am I trying to control everything, right? Why am I, you know, having this big reaction or getting angry? But like all of that's information. None
mhm,
of it's bad per se. It's more just like, huh, that's a symptom of some sort of misalignment of values, some sort of disharmony with a really important part of your life, whether it's with your own soul, with nature, with right. So it's speaking to wah, like the alarm is going off, something's broken here. Fix this. And I don't mean that the person is broken and needs to be fixed. That's not what I mean. I mean, something's out of alignment. Like,
mhm.
and this is just our warning symptom. Like, we're not built to be as anxious as many of us are. That's not a natural way of being. Like, we have anxiety, that is natural, and depression and emotions, and they're meant to go up and down. But when we're in these perpetual states, what it tells me is, well, the chemicals are off, right? For sure. But like, what else is off? What is that a symptom of?
Mhm.
I'm not saying that being in alignment is going to fix all ailments, but it will be a real step in the right direction to say, yeah, what are my values? How can I live in accordance to that? How can I listen to my soul's callings and connect deeper with the world around me in a more meaningful way? And I think that's the soul work.
Yeah,
And I think so whenever your ways of being aren't what you want them to be, it means you gotta do the work a little
yeah.
bit.
Well, I'll say it, being in alignment will fix all ailments, right? No, I mean, I
That'll
love
fix a lot.
yeah, yeah, I mean, obviously, life's gonna happen, but it's gonna feel different, and it's gonna happen differently when we're in alignment, and, I mean, I know that well, sometimes I'll do a fast, right? Maybe for 24 hours, 36 hours, and usually by the end of that first day, I have less patience and I'm more agitated, right?
Mhm,
So, is anything different going on? Are the things that are agitating me any different than otherwise? No, it's just that I'm not as, as grounded and as nourished, so I get more agitated in that.
mhm,
If I don't go out in nature for a week, I feel more antsy. If I don't get exercise,
mhm.
right? My I I just feel like I gotta move. I just feel like I gotta get out, like stuck in my skin. Like I gotta move, you
And I
know?
call that the itch, right? We
Yeah.
all have the itch in different ways. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, something's just like
Hmm.
that wool scratchy sweater. Something's not
Yeah.
fitting right. Something's bugging me.
So if we're not sleeping well, eating well, like nourishing our bodies, if
Our
are
minds, our
exercising
souls.
well, if we're not interacting with other people and having some like sharing what's on our heart and sharing our creative ideas. We're all creative. We all have these thoughts, and it's just like it really provides a lot of nourishment for us to share with others.
Mm,
So if we're not doing that, we're going to feel not as settled, not as grounded. If we don't get any connection with nature, we're not gonna nature has seasons. It has the day, the night, the moon cycle, right? So if we're not in connection with nature, we're not gonna recognize our own nature and our own cycles in our body, right? Because we're different. Like we have a cycle throughout the day, right? We have certain energy in the morning, at noon, in the evening, at night, at midnight, right? And
mhm.
if we're more in touch with that, then we can recognize and kind of plan our day and be more forgiving for ourselves if we're not able to be super productive at a time when we're naturally need more rest. So I just think it is a totally a symptom. Whenever we're feeling not good, it's a sign that something's not in alignment.
Mhm.
N and not that something's bad, not that we're doing bad, not that it's bad to focus a lot on your job, or not that it's bad to focus a lot on the way you look, or to focus on a certain relationship, or, you know? But to have that tunnel vision and think that that's all there is, that's challenging because the reality is we're so much more than that.
Yeah.
And when we recognize and honor all of the areas, like I'm thinking about, self, others, nature, and spirit, but reality, that's trying to divide something that can't be divided. It's all one. We're all the same. But thinking about how do we interact with all these multi-dimensions aspect of ourselves helps us to create a more harmonious life. And then we're going to feel more grounded, connected. And then when we do that, we're going to feel safe and we're going to be able to listen to our deeper self. And that's going to be able to guide us. We're going to get more intuitive. I think I did. Yeah.
So, how would you describe the community we're intending to build or the space we're intending to hold with a yes gathering?
I think that one thing that's missing from a lot of people's lives is connection with other people.
Mm,
So I see the gathering as providing that need that we
mhm,
have to connect with other people. So I want it to be an open space where lots of people can feel comfortable and connected in their own way because, well, what I've seen in the yoga trainings, people from all over the world, different cultures, different countries, different personalities come together. It is possible to create a space where we all can be in harmony with each other. And we have all the personalities. Some people love to talk and share. That's great. We have that space. Some people want to just kind of like be more observant and interact on smaller levels. That's great. So I see it like it's a place where people can come and get inspiration and learning from the topic that we have. So I think having some external stimulation of the mind is great because like shifting our perspective on the world changes our lives more than anything else, right? Because we can change the world and get a new partner or get a new job, move to a new location. We can get a new house. Like we can change things, but the biggest effect we'll have is if we change the way we perceive things, the way we think. So having some type of external stimulation to shift our perspective a little bit, not like saying we want to believe something totally different, but just shift our perspective, right? Like seeing things from a different way, having different recognizing maybe it's not so important the way the table looks and maybe it's more important to have a deep conversation with the friends that are over, right? So that little perspective shift, like everything's the same, but we experience it differently. So, yeah, some type of learning is important. Some type of, I guess, on that, also skills, like we need skills to connect in better ways, skills to connect with ourselves. So, yoga, meditation, journaling, like just some skills to connect with ourselves, skills to connect with other people, relationship skills. Like relationships are so important in our lives, and we don't really learn how to do them well, right? So, a little bit of learning, skill building there that way. Yes, we have some stimulation for the mind to shift our perspective. We have some skills so we can practice and do these things. And then literally connecting with other people, being in relationship, having some connection with nature, even if it's a leaf or candle, or maybe it is going for a hike. And then having the space to share what's really on your heart and discover or explore what is the meaning of my life. Like have
mm,
that deep conversation. What's really going on
yeah.
for me and why?
So, you're highlighting a lot of the things we will do when we gather, which I think is really like important. Like, why are we gathering? What are we doing? But the foundation before we can do any of those things, I think, is feeling at ease. So, my biggest goal when we're beginning is that people enter a space. We're meeting at a local yoga studio, but they enter the space with intention, that it feels like a sacred time in their week. It feels nurturing. It feels safe. It feels like this womb container where you can, again, I think I said this earlier, just like sigh from the week and feel held in a space that you can explore all the things that you mentioned. I think if it's just all the exploring and all the practices and all the learning that you're talking about, then it just feels like something to do. It's like we're expecting you to complete these tasks so you can like grow and be a better person. But if it's done in a way that's like feeling at ease and feeling like you belong and feeling like it's safe to just be stagnant and maybe not learn something for a while and just sit in safety and some silence and just a respite from the hurried world. Like it's also that too. I want people also to be able to come and know what to expect, like a natural rhythm. So our gatherings will be 90 minutes, and similar to a yoga class, if you go to a certain teacher, you might know exactly what to expect. You might know that when you come, you roll out your mat and you're kind of quiet and contemplative when you arrive. And you might know that the teacher rings a bell and welcomes you into some sort of intention. Maybe you om. Maybe you know exactly what sort of pace or journey you're going to take with asana.
Yeah, so
And then you know you're going
what's
to
the
rest.
format you're thinking?
Yeah. Well, I'm just stating all that because it's helpful to know the journey you'll go on in this period of time as what to expect. It makes you feel more at home and more safe, knowing that rhythm, knowing what to
Mhm.
expect.
Yeah.
So for our gatherings, to create that feeling of a sacred space, we plan to welcome everyone with a tea light candle and the word namaste, which in yogic culture is like the light in me recognizes the light in you. And so it's symbolic, it's a bit ritualistic, and it really, I think, begins the feeling of, oh, my light, my inner soul or my being is seen here. I'm seen here. Okay, cool. So that starts it. We sit in circle, which again is symbolic. It mimics a lot of things in nature, and like it's like the original spiritual symbol. It puts us all on an even playing field. We join together. It's harmonious. We will sip cacao or tea or some kind of beverage as we share whatever the theme is that week. So it's a time to share in story. For example, one of our themes is going to be harmony, which we talked about in the last episode, right? So how can that be demonstrated and thought about? What exercises can we bring in to awaken the mind, body, spirit around that theme? Then we'll move in some sort of somatic practice. It could look like yoga. It could look like interactive, like almost like icebreaker type movement things with the other people there, with the goal of bringing like a deeper connection, because we can connect with people over words and conversation, but we connect more deeply when we move and do and explore things together. And then as we're kind of wrapping up, we sit and like let it all kind of settle in as if you would do in shavasana in a yoga class. So we sit quietly with our bodies to think about the theme, to think about the movement and the practices, and how does that all integrate within us? What bubbles up for us? Maybe it's a time to journal, sit in meditation, pull an oracle card for inspiration, and then we share, right? This is our opportunity to go, this is what came up for me. Like, wow, that was powerful when I did that exercise with my partner, and whatever. And then each person will choose a practice to bring into their week from that theme. So sort of a self guided and self-inspired thing to add to their life or maybe take away, depends on what the practice is, right? And then throughout the week before we meet again, we'll have this hopefully vibrant WhatsApp community where we can connect through inspiration and accountability and maybe outdoor gatherings, a book club thing, so we're learning, growing, living, experiencing together in this rich community.
Mhm.
So that's how I see it. Maybe I left something out or if you wanted to touch on
Well,
anything.
I'm thinking that, yeah, allowing people to feel at ease and comfortable. And one thing that may help people with that is if you come with a friend, right? If you
Sure.
have your own little buddy there, because then it's a lot easier to integrate into community if you already have someone. So
It can
if
be
you're
hard to try new
yeah, if
things,
you're like
right?
on the fence, maybe find somebody to come together and that can ease that. And then also, like, so we have the Sunday gathering, but some people may not be able to come that time. And then some people may not feel that may not be kind of like the format people are wanting. We also have the other gatherings,
Yeah.
and people can be a part of the community even if that Sunday 90 minutes is not really your thing. Like I could imagine people just want to go out in nature and go on hikes with the community and add some, kind of depth of conversation and experience and connection in that experience.
Mm,
Or maybe through the book club, exploring kind of that aspect and of using the mind and thinking and having discussions around that and connecting with people in that regard. So we have like, lots of different like little ecosystems and people can
mm,
find their entry point into it. But yeah, the core of it would be that weekly gathering, but I also recognize that that's not going to be the thing for everyone.
yeah, I mean, the other thing we are offering too is individual coaching.
Mhm.
So if it's like you're getting a taste of something that you really enjoy and you want to go a little deeper or have something that's really individualized or personal to you and whatever
Mhm.
you're working on, then we have this like ability to do some sort of soul coaching, relational coaching, whatever it looks like.
And that might be a good entry point for some people too, right? Because
Yeah.
then you don't have that social aspect, the social pressure of doing it. You can explore and get comfortable, in a private coaching session situation,
Mm,
and then enter into the group. So I imagine people will go both ways, right? People will join in a group and then like, oh, I want to go deeper. I want like more attention. So I'll do private coaching. Some people will probably come in on private coaching because that's where they're feeling more comfortable. And then they'll be able to integrate with the group or
mhm.
find the way to do that.
So who do you think yes is for?
I mean, I guess it's for people that want to expand their life, right? Their experience of their life, like get to know yourself more. If you want to get to know others more and have deeper relationships, maybe you want more people in your life, or maybe you want to have better relationships with the people you already have in your life. People that want to get out in nature and
Mhm,
connect with nature in their own way. And probably you already like nature, you know that, but you forget about it. I was even thinking yesterday, I was writing down intention to make sure that every single day I get outside for 10 minutes because sometimes a day goes by and I don't. Just
mm,
go in the woods for 10 minutes. It's literally right there.
mhm,
And so it's like a reprioritization or remembering or encouragement to do that. And then I guess in terms of people that want to have real conversations about what's meaningful for you in your life and what's the purpose of your life, what's the point, and yeah, and somebody that wants community support in the things that are happening in life. Like
mhm,
I see people striving, like taking that leap and going for their dreams when they're supported by community. I see people when something doesn't go well, when there's a tragedy in life, we recover to wholeness and harmony more fully, more quickly, more easily when we have community support.
Mhm.
I see people enjoying life more with others,
Mhm.
right? So it's for those people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's for the curious too. Like, this is not a dogmatic religious type thing at all, right? This is more just like, how do you create more intentional relationship with the things that matter, including yourself, right? So it's not like a quick fix thing. It's not. So all that to say, it's meant to be, as you said, expansive and curious, an exploration that we're all on a path of. And we're here as resources, as learners along with you, like a spiritual companionship type of a thing, potentially. Or, yeah, I think what I like about it and what's a little bit different than what even you've done in the past is the relationship is not so much like teacher to student. It's sort of like, yes, we're facilitating and we see a valuable framework for what we're doing, but we don't have the answers. We're just like working through it all with you and exploring it all with you. And I hope that rings true, that you feel seen and certainly not judged. You feel welcomed. You feel like this is a real place to explore what's going on for you and how you can be in closer relationship with your own truth. And yeah, and celebrating each individual path and wherever you are on it.
Mhm.
I guess it would just be an invitation to our listeners to engage in this community however you can, based on where you are geographically and how you're able to. But we aim to offer things for everyone at every point in every place. So follow us, I would say, on social media. We'll put all the links in the show notes, but we're on Instagram and Facebook. We're on YouTube, and we're hoping to build a lot of our connections with community through a WhatsApp community and really have that be kind of our hub for sharing, inspiring, and connecting with each other.
And I guess the truth is we don't know who it's really gonna be for, right? I could imagine it being for any type of person, but I don't know what type of person's gonna really resonate with it and
Mm,
what it's gonna be for, right? If it's somebody who's, yeah, wanting to heal a relationship with a friend or a partner or a parent, maybe that's who the community ends up being, or maybe it's people that wanna just get out in nature. Maybe it's the meditation community that wants to do shift things and up level. I don't know what it is,
mm,
who it's gonna be for,
mhm,
really.
mhm.
But the idea will be to allow it to be open enough and adaptive enough to, yeah, figure out how we can serve the most people.
So follow us on the journey,
Yeah,
right? Mm. We could tease a little in process thing that we're working on, which is our 4 principles, if you want.
sure. So, I was mentioning the 4 quadrants, the self, so we have the self, and expanding that, living fully in the self and knowing, recognizing all of the aspects of my being, so my mental, emotional, physical self in all aspects. And then we have other, so that is all the relationships we have with other people. So that might be with our parents or kids or siblings, with our family. We have our relationship with, maybe if you have a partner or partners, right? Like those deep relationships. And then we have our friends, and then we have relationships with at work, and then acquaintances. So like all the other, like those relationships are rich with potential. And then we have our relationship with nature, expanding and growing that, deepening that relationship with nature is huge. And then we have relationship with spirit, whatever that means for people. I think of it like, how do we fit in the world? What's the meaning of life? How do I fit in with this? And exploring that. And there's not like an answer. There's no right answer, but it's like we all need to explore, how do we fit into the world, to the universe? What is the meaning of life for me?
Mm-hmm.
So then we've been trying to come up with some principles that can kind of like guide this deepening of relationship with these 4 quadrants.
Right. Right. So it's basically like a singular principle for each quadrant, but in total, it looks like, so at Yoga, Earth, and Soul, we believe that those who listen within find wisdom. So that's the self.
So with the self, the idea is we listen, like listen.
Mm-hmm. Those who approach others with curiosity find connection. So that's in your relationship with others. So how curiosity is the key. Those who witness nature find inspiration. So that's obviously your relationship with nature, the cosmos, and the greater outdoors. And then those who befriend the divine find meaning. So that's our spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm.
And the befriending was a big part of it for me, because I do think it's, to me, more than just finding meaning. It is like having a true relationship with
Mm-hmm.
whatever we experience as spirit, source, divine, almost as if, like, say you're journaling, that you are quite literally speaking to the divine, for
Mm-hmm.
example. Yeah. And then so if you are a part of Yes and you are believing in these principles and living by them, the idea being that it will make your life richer, more connected, more harmonious, and joyous.
Yeah.
So follow along and find out what Yes becomes and join us. Thanks for tuning in to That's So Intimate. If this episode sparked something for you, hit subscribe and share it with someone you care about. We're growing this beautiful community, one conversation at a time.
Got a word or topic you want us to explore? Send us an email or find us on Instagram. We love hearing from you. We'll be back next week with more connection, curiosity, and intimate conversation.